Today I am going to be giving you one mute tip that is going to work against every single attacker in Rainbow Six Siege. Let's get straight on into it. If the video does help you out, be sure to drop a like on the video. First of all, we'll start off with Glaz. The best way to counter Glaz as a mute player is to not peek the long angles. Let him come to the closer ranges, because quite simply you're going to beat him in every single fight with your shotgun, your SMG-11. If you're running that kit, you will beat him. And as well, you won't be able to drone because of the jammers. Therefore, he's going to have little intel and push in on close range. Next up is Fuse. A great way to go against a Fuse player with mute is to quite simply place your jammers down in situations where it's going to completely block out his ability. Now, you need to know where you're going to prioritize your jammers. Are you going to look for the reinforcements? Are you going to place your mute jammers down by entry points where they might drone through? Or are you going to prioritize it for Fuse? Remember, you can also cross over. They can also do multiple at the same time. IQ is going to hard counter mute. IQ will be able to take out mute jammers when she can see them. However, if she can't get to them, then you're going to be sitting quite pretty. Therefore, with mute to go against IQ is to quite frankly get them behind any reinforcement, any hard object that IQ can't get to. Remember that when placing them down. With mute, you are going to hard counter blitz. This means that if you are running from a blitz main who is absolutely terrorizing you or your teammate, what you can do is run all the way back to the mute jammer, and when you are in the range of that mute jammer, remember where you placed them down in that prep phase. Blitz won't be able to activate his ability and flash you. It simply won't work, meaning that you're in a one-on-one gunfight with no flashes to blind you. Next up is Twitch. You are going to hard counter Twitch as a mute player. Therefore, I would highly recommend you to place your mute jammers down in situations where it is going to block the entry point. Get a little more aggressive with your mute jammers. If you are not just trying to block out them from finding the objective, place them down a little more aggressive on the entry points, because Twitch and other operators won't be able to get their drones right through. A tip for playing against Monty when you're playing as mute is to use your C4. Remember, you've got your shotgun, you've got your SMG-11 and that C4 too. The C4 is to play here for taking him out. Remember to watch for peekers behind. They're not going to have much intel as your jammers will stop them. As a mute player, you will directly hard counter Thermite, meaning that if your mute jammers are on a reinforced wall or anywhere that Thermite breach charge could be placed down, you are going to counter them, meaning that they won't be able to take it out unless they have some sort of other operator or attacker that will be able to assist them. And it also applies when you're going to be using it on a barricade, and I thought this tip might be useful for many of you, as placing Thermite charges on barricades is a common thing. I mean, who doesn't want to hop breach into a barricade? When playing against Ash, when you're playing as mute, Ash will often try to take out your mute jammers. Maybe it's through a drone hole or somewhere else. Therefore, having a Jaeger ADS or Omai nearby with their gadgets is going to be really quite useful. If you place that Jaeger ADS down in a position where it won't be able to, or it won't be easy for them to take it out, that is going to stop them and directly counter it for you. Thatcher might pose a little bit of a problem. However, Thatcher's EMPs are only going to disable your mute jammers. Therefore, you can either try to pick them up and place them back down, or instead, you could just wait for the timer to run out. Now, this depends on whether you want to counter that hard breach and whether you think they're going to be placing it down. If they are, pick it up and place it back down. This is only worth the risk on a reinforcement when you're protecting the breach. When you're playing mute, if you come against a Sledge player, often they will use their grenades similar to Ash to take out your mute jammers. Now again, if this is going to be on the breach, bringing a Jaeger or Might, having their solid placements down which will last for most of the round, is to play here, and it's going to be really useful for you to have that in your locker. Now, Book is going to pose a problem, because Book is either going to come from below or above if your mute jammer is on that reinforced wall and try to take it out. It will come through the vertical play and take out your mute jammer. Therefore, you or another roamer or another teammate needs to be holding that upstairs area. For example, on Consulate, often they will do it on Piano, take control of Piano, go for the vertical play. Get someone holding there to deny that push and stop them from even getting there. Now, we have to mention Blackbeard here, because when you're a mute player facing against a Blackbeard, often a Blackbeard will try to sit on a window with his shield up, sit there for about maybe the whole round, the whole game, to be honest with you. Sit there and just watch the days go by. The only risk here is making sure that you don't get too close to that Blackbeard player, because if you do, you'll often lose brain cells from being near them. Therefore, what I would suggest to do is run out on them, go around the other side, pop out the window, go for a run out, take them out when they're just sitting there. If any of these tips have helped you out so far, especially that Blackbeard one. I do stream on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There will be a link down below in the description. If you've got any questions about the tips or just want to hop in some games with me, be sure to do so over there. And that is a fantastic tip when you're playing as mute to counter the Blackbeard player. Don't end up as that Blackbeard player. They took a deep, dark turn. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because sometimes you might think you are when you aren't actually. Therefore, if you do that and you make sure you are subscribed, you won't end up as Blackbeard. Moving on to Captao, who is often going to try and flush you out of your position when playing mute. Whether you are by the reinforcement, they're going to shoot their little firebolt through that drone hole around the corner to try and take you out and flush you out from denying that breach. Make sure you are aware of this, because this is going to happen a lot. Prepare yourself for this and get ready to move. Next up is Hibana, and you as mute are going to directly counter Hibana. When she places her pellets down, you've got your mute jammer on the reinforcement. The Hibana player is going to realise that they can't detonate those pellets, therefore they're stuck there. They can't be taken down like other breaches. This gives you an advantage. Either they take out that mute jammer, or you might have a little bit of time to shoot out those pellets if possible. As Jackal, when Jackal activates his ability and you are playing mute, you've got your mute jammer down maybe on the stairwell. What's going to happen is when he gets in the range of that mute jammer, his ability is going to start to fade away, it's going to glitch out, and he won't be able to use it or see anything. It's going to completely disrupt his vision, which is a massive advantage. If you see this happening, make sure to peek that corner, take him out whilst he's a little confused. When you're dealing with Ying, when you're playing mute, you often will find that the Ying player is going to be aggressive, entry frag, and try to gain a little bit more map control with her Candelas. This is going to be a problem when you're playing mute. The mute jammers will make it so it's hard for them to drone. Therefore, they're often going to get aggressive, get in your face, and try to take that map control, take out the mute jammers, gain a little more security. Keep this in mind and expect it to happen. Next up is Sofia, and Sofia will often try to concuss you in order whether a Thatcher EMP is going to be played. Therefore, this will disable your mute jammer. You're going to try to pick it up, but you're concussed, so you can't. Therefore, beware of this for that concussion. There are many counters that you can use for it, simply staying alert of it or having a Jaeger ADS to take that projectile out. For Dokobi, you need to make sure that you are by a jammer when it goes off. What will happen is when Dokobi calls you, tries to call you, and if at the time you are in the radius of the mute jammer, you won't get a call at all. However, if you are going to be not in that mute jammer's radius, you run over to it as you're being called, it won't work. It only works before you've been called. If you do get called by Dokobi, a little tip for you is to make sure that you block her number. Just open up your phone, block that number. Another way is to enter the access code. The access code is making sure that you are subscribed to MatchPoint. If you've done that, Dokobi won't be calling you anymore. Go on, give it a try. Next up is Lion, and you will directly counter Lion when you are going to be in the radius of the jammer. Similar how Dokobi works. If that Lion scan is about to go off, you grab yourself into that jammer. You won't be able to get that scan at all, which means you'll be able to move around while the scan's going off because you're in the radius of the mute jammer. Next up is Maverick, who will counter you. Maverick will be able to open that reinforced wall whether your mute jammer is there or not, which means that your C4 is going to come in handy here. When he opens his little hole, send him a little present for Christmas. Drop in that C4 and say hello to him. 3, 2, 1, boom, and you've countered the Maverick. Now, Nomad is an operator who is known for covering those runouts. Therefore, when you are on your little mission to take out that Blackbeard player, who's quite frankly in a whole different universe, you won't be able to do this, or you might be able to. You're just going to have to be a little bit careful for an air jab. When running out, make sure you don't run into that air jab when you're playing mute. Next up is Gridlock, and her LMG is no match for your shotgun. That ADS time on it is going to come into play. Beware when those tracks are going to get placed down for her ability, that she can easily mask the plant. Therefore, as mute, get your shotgun ready and get prepped to take her out. Next up is Knock, and Knock is going to be no match for your mute jammers. Simply get a few traps placed in front of that mute jammer, and Knock is going to be no more because, yeah, unfortunately, Knock can't do too much. Now, Amaru players are very tough because Amaru doesn't drone, so quite frankly, as a mute player, you are screwed. Get that shotgun ready, because as soon as you see that barricade about to give way, you know what's coming. Now for Kali, her ability does take quite a little bit of time to go off, therefore as mute you can often hear it because it's quite loud. That lance explosion will be a counter for you. However, if you pick up your jammer, place it back down afterwards, you're going to be looking pretty good. You are going to hard counter Ayana's ability as a mute player. Whenever her Ayana hologram gets in the radius, she won't be able to use it anymore and it's going to disappear. However, when she is in the radius herself and tries to activate it, it's not going to let her activate it. Therefore, this is an advantage for you. Against Ace, a little tip when playing mute is that you are going to hard counter him. Therefore, he'll have to either take out the mute jammer and they'll detonate, or he'll have to pick them up and place them back down. Zero can very easily take out your mute jammers. This is when he places his cameras on the little vertical play, and he will be able to use his laser to take it out from the reinforcement or anywhere that is obstructing their path. Bear this in mind, and if you see a yellow light, shoot that thing out. Now, if you are looking to learn one ability counter for every single attacker in the game, well, I've already covered a guide on that. There's a load of tips in there that are going to help you out in the game, so be sure to check that out right after. If these tips did help you out, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe for the best tips and tricks in Rainbow Six Siege. If you've got any questions to ask me, or you are looking to find players in Siege to do your placements with or simply have a good time with, well, we've got a community Discord full of amazing people who are looking for exactly that. Whether you want to ask me a question or find other players, there's a link down below to the Discord. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.